In the 1950s, there was a design movement that emerged in Switzerland and Germany and has been called the Swiss style, but it's more appropriately named the International Typographic style. The roots of this style are to a large extent found in the curriculum from the School of Design in Basel, and has as its basis the fundamental geometric exercises that involve the cube and the line. So it was very strongly geometric in orientation. Characteristics of the International Typographic style include an asymmetrical organization of design elements on top of a mathematically constructed grid, objective photography and copy that presents visual and verbal information in a clear and factual manner, and also the use of sans serif typography that's set flush left but ragged right. Design was defined as an important and socially useful activity, and the role of the designer as an objective conduit for spreading information was really important. Personal expression and eccentric solutions were rejected in favor of a more universal and scientific approach to design problem solving. Some of the pioneers of the International Typographic style were Ernst Keller, who believed that the solution to a design problem should emerge from its content; Theo Ballmer, who applied Gestell principles to graphic design and used a grid system to construct visual forms, including letter forms; and also Max Bill, who embraced the concepts of art concrete, which also called for a universal art of absolute clarity based on a controlled mathematical construction. Bill's work was based on cohesive principles of visual organization, linear division of space into harmonious parts, in other words, the unit form, modular grids, arithmetic and geometric progressions, permutations and sequences, and also the equalization of contrasting and complementary relationships that created an ordered, unified whole. In 1950, Bill became involved in developing the graphic design program at the Institute of Design in Ulm, Germany, and this curriculum included a study of semiotics, the philosophical theory of signs and symbols. The three branches of semiotics are semantics, which is the study of meaning of signs and symbols; syntactics, the study of how signs and symbols are connected and ordered into a structural whole; and pragmatics, which is the study of the relationship of signs and symbols to their users. Max Huber created complex compositions by overlapping typography and graphic elements, and also images, and yet balanced and aligned everything. He used transparent inks, which allowed the various layers to show through. The work of Anton Stankowski demonstrates the abstract visual form that can be used to communicate complex information. Before attempting a design solution, he would research a subject in order to understand the material that needed to be presented in the design, because he believed that only through understanding that he was able to invent forms that became symbols of complex scientific and engineering concepts. In 1947, Emil Ruder joined the faculty of the Basel School as its typography instructor, and he taught that legibility and readability are dominant concerns, and that type loses its purpose if it loses its communicative meaning. He advocated sensitivity to negative space, a systematic overall design approach, and the use of a grid to bring all elements into harmony with each other while allowing for variety. Joseph Müller-Brockmann sought an absolute and universal form of graphic expression through objective presentation. He did a lot of photographic posters in which the image is treated as an objective symbol that gains impact through its scale. Coming out of the International Typographic style were very well known and very widely used practical sans serif typefaces, including Universe. Universe is a visually programmed family, and it was designed by Adrian Frutiger in 1954. Numbers replace conventional nomenclature because all 21 fonts have the same X height and ascender and descender lengths, They create a uniform whole that can be used together with complete harmony. The numerical nomenclature includes things like universe 55 would be regular, universe 65 would be italic, universe 75 would be bold. And another one, of course, was Helvetica, which actually started out under a different name and has become probably the hallmark typeface of the International Typographic style. In the United States, the New York School was an approach to modernist design that spread internationally in the 50s and continued as a dominant force in graphic design until about the 70s. The New York School believed in an egalitarian society with capitalist values. Where European design was often theoretical and highly structured, American design was pragmatic, intuitive, and less formal in its approach to organizing space. An emphasis was placed on the expression of ideas and an open, direct presentation of information. Novelty in technique, originality of concept were very prized. Designers sought to solve communications problems while satisfying a need for personal expression. Paul Rand was one of the premier designers of the New York School. His strength was in his ability to analyze a message, reduce it to a symbolic essence, and communicate that message through dynamic visual form. He often altered or juxtaposed ordinary, universally understood signs and symbols to reinterpret meaning and support a message. Brownjohn, Chermayeff, and Geismar were three other designers. Their initial contribution to American graphic design came from a strong aesthetic background and an understanding of the major ideas of European modern art. They had a strong sense of form, a vitality and freshness in their work. They combined images and symbols with a surreal sense of dislocation to convey the essence of the subject. They used book jackets and posters. A fine sense of typography and art history allowed them to solve problems with inventiveness and symbolic representation of forms and imagery. Their approach included finding a solution that grew out of the need of the client and also the limitations of the problem at hand. Any problem has a set of criteria and a set of limitations that come with it. An ad agency, Doyle Dane Bernbach, opened its doors in New York City. Bill Bernbach was the partner with responsibility for the creative, and Bob Gage was the art director, and Phyllis Robinson was the copywriter. And together they developed a strategy regarding advertising that focused on the advantages of the thing being advertised, its distinguishing characteristics, superior features. They approached advertising design as a synergistic relationship between visual and verbal. Concept was dominant and simplicity ruled. Out of the New York School, we have the concept of figurative typography, where there's a playful interaction usually between image and type. Visual verbal syntax was where word and image fused into a conceptual expression of an idea, so they became completely dependent upon each other. Typograms were popular, and this is where typographic form and shape created an overall simple concept that was unified in one thing. Bradbury Thompson was one of the most influential graphic designers after the Second World War in the United States. He used a lot of large, bold, organic, and geometric shapes to bring graphic and symbolic power to a page. He worked with letter forms and patterns and played with scale, movement, and repetition. and his concerns were readability, formal harmony, and a use of old-style typefaces. Saul Bass came to Los Angeles from New York and did a lot of film work, a lot of title design. He used a lot of asymmetrical balance and complex contrasting shape, color, and visual texture. In addition to what he did for film, he did a lot for corporate America, including IBM and various identity programs. Another typographic trend that began in the 50s was a renewed interest in 19th century decorative and novelty typefaces. In 1970, Herb Lubelin, phototypography pioneer Edward Ronthaler, and typographer Aaron Burns founded the International Typeface Corporation and began to publish a tabloid-sized journal, UNLC, which was designed by Lubelin. And this was a promotional piece. Lubelin regarded the designer's role as projecting a message from a surface using three interdependent means of expression: photography, illustration, and letter form. And the complexity of UNLC had a major impact on type design in the 70s.